I would like to make some emphasis on this, because if you read the scriptures, you don't find that. There is no exact mention that Jesus appeared to his mother. One would expect, oh, as soon as he came back from the dead, he would go and embrace his mother, and they will record it. It's not written in black and white in the scriptures. And of course, many people have debated about that. Why? I'd like to share some thoughts that St. John Paul II had on this issue. He said he is sure. He is sure that Mary was the first person to see Jesus alive. He is sure. And of course, he's not the first to have said that. And he knows that's not like you go by logical explanation and scientific calculation and say, oh, this is how it happened. He doesn't know that. But he knows in his heart that Mary was the first to have seen Jesus resurrected. And what reasons does St. John Paul II give? He says this: Jesus has a physical body when he rises from the dead. When Mary Magdalene went to the tomb, it was empty. She went to the apostles, and Jesus was not there. And she told them that the tomb was empty. Then later she meets Jesus, and he says that, don't hold me, I have not yet gone back to the Father. I have not ascended to the Father. Where has he been in the interim? St. John Paul II is sure that he had been to see his mother before he came back to meet Mary Magdalene. Second, how do we explain Mary's absence from the tomb on Easter morning? Mary was always with the other women. But on Easter morning, when they were going to anoint, put spices on the body, Mary was not there. Because she had him alive already. Yes, she had encountered him alive already. So she didn't need to go. It was a tradition that they would do. But to her, he wasn't there. He had come back to life. So there was no reason going down on that Sabbath morning, on that Sunday morning. He says this is an argument from reason. That's what St. John Paul says. He says this one is an argument from reason. Then he says it's also an argument from justice. He explains that justice leads to the conclusion Mary had been at the foot of the cross. She was one of the last to leave the area. When he expired, she was placed in her feet. How can he come to life and not meet her? Justice, simple justice, demands that he goes to his mother first. An argument from love. Love opens the door to understanding and knowledge. He says, anybody who has a contrary argument perhaps does not know the love between a mother and a child. The love between a mother and a child would make it obvious to anybody that as soon as this child comes back from the dead, my mom is first. Then of course he also cites historical tradition. There have been some of the teachers of the church, like he cites Ignatius of Loyola first, and also Sedunius, who have confirmed that Mary appeared first. Jesus appeared first after the resurrection to Mary. So whatever you want to believe, it's just only reasonable to think that even if the scriptures don't directly say so, it's because it's obvious. It's obvious that Mary, Jesus would have appeared first to his mother. That's why the scriptures don't state it. So that is the sixth great joy of Mary. The seventh joy is something we believe as a doctrine, the coronation of Mary as Queen of Heaven and Earth. And it's a song, the climax of discipleship, of her discipleship. And the book of Revelations makes that so obvious. The picture of the lady who is victorious after fighting the demon and is snatched up and raised on high. Mary is Queen of Heaven and Earth. But as I indicated, the joys of Mary come mixed with her sorrows, and sometimes with a bit of anxiety. And of course, the sorrows continue. They kind of continue even today. But let's look at Mary's sorrows. We already referred to one of them, the first, the meeting with Simeon. Right? Yes. And as I was reflecting on it, Simeon is a prophet. And there is a clear reference to the cross when he says, and you, be prepared, a sword will pierce your soul. A sword will pierce your soul. Okay. These are some voices about Mary's sorrows in general from some saints. St. Agnes said to St. Bridget in the Revelation, our compassionate and benign mother was satisfied rather to endure any torment than that our souls should not be redeemed. She is referring to the cross of Christ. Mary decided that whatever it will cost her to redeem souls, she will give it for the world. So our benign, our lovely and compassionate mother was satisfied rather to endure torment, the torment of losing a child, than that souls should not be redeemed. The grief of Mary was so great that this is what I referred to earlier, were it divided amongst all men, it would suffice to cause their immediate death. That's St. Bernardine of Siena. And St. Antoninus has, That was the one. While other martyrs suffered by sacrificing their own lives, the Blessed Virgin suffered by sacrificing her son's life, a life that she loved far more than her own, so that she not only suffered in her soul all that her son endured in his body, but moreover the sight of her son's torment brought more grief to her heart than if she had endured them all in her own person. Who is a mother here? Any mother tell me this is not true? Yes? I agree with this. If you truly love somebody, truly, even when sometimes when a person is sick, you wish, you give me the sickness and be well. Yeah. That's the kind of thing St. Antoninus was referring to. St. Alphonsus of Liguori puts it this way: the martyrs endured their torments in their bodies. Mary suffered hers in her soul. Now, as the soul is more noble than the body, so much greater were Mary's sufferings than those of all the martyrs. And Christ himself told Catherine of Siena, between the sufferings of the soul and those of the body, there is absolutely no comparison. A sword will pierce your own soul. You'll be watching blood dripping from the hands, the feet, the miserable body of your only begotten Son. And it will be like a sword that they've used to pierce your soul, your heart. I think this says a lot. Culmination of all the sufferings. Dolorosa. Yeah. I'll come back to this. Or we should just go on to that. Yeah, I think so. Because I think that's I think that these are the graces that somebody who meditates on Mary's sorrows and tries to reflect and share in Mary's ministry is expected, has been promised to through St. Bridget of Sweden. I will grant peace to their families. They will be enlightened about the divine mysteries. I will console them in their pains, and I'll accompany them in their work. I will give them as much as they ask for, as long as it does not oppose the adorable will of my divine Son or the satisfaction of their soul. Do you recognize that these messages resonate? Like Fatima? This and Fatima, and yes. And these are separated by centuries. I'll defend them and their spiritual battles with the infernal enemy, and I'll protect them at every instant of their lives. I'll visibly help them at the moment of their death. They will see the face of their mother. I like this one. I like this one. And I've seen it as a priest. I've had the privilege of witnessing people at the edge of life. That's how I call it. And sometimes it's such an inspiring experience. You go home and you are just like, I wish I can finish like this. I wish my end will come like this that I witnessed. ministered to an 83-year-old lady who she said she had been lying down for 5 years. And said, Father, what's he waiting for? I've been ready for years. I'm just waiting for him to call me. And she said, everybody that I love, everybody with whom I had life is on the other side. And we talk frequently. Why doesn't anyone say, your room is not ready yet? Smile. But it's so wonderful to see people so well prepared. And the difference is there when the person is not ready, hasn't been following your faith, the promptings of the Spirit, and perhaps has a heart immersed in the world. It's a struggle to free yourself. That's what Mary promises to those who would reflect and devote themselves to praying the sorrows of Mary. Because it teaches us one thing, that the Spirit is definitely infinitely more important than the body. And that gradually we should live in such a way that leaving the body would not be a battle. That the body can take any torment in order to fortify and discipline the spirit. It's tough, yes, especially in our world that says exactly the contrary. To feed our bodies more than our spirit. But it's true. It's true. Infinitely true. Because the joys of the body are short-lived. And they don't train the spirit. Yes. I have obtained His grace, this grace from my Son, divine Son, that those who propagate this devotion to my tears and dolors, sorrows, will be taken directly from this earthly life to the eternal happiness, since all their sins will be forgiven, and my Son and I will be their eternal consolation. Who wants that? I want that. I want to go straight. I don't want to. They say break stones in purgatory. You break stones. No, that's not. It's not part of the teaching of the church. Don't say that. Said, you break stones in purgatory. No. That somebody said you kneel on rocks and pray the rosary. No, that too is not taught by the church. It's just that I think that if you are not ready, you will be purified in the area in which you lack. That's what I think. Yes, if you lack in charity, you will perhaps be taught what real charity means before you enter it. So I think that's what purification. But definitely there's purgatory and there's purification. The benefits. I think that's one of the things we aim to get. To realize the value of a soul. And that's what I was, that the sacrifice of Calvary is everything. Infinitely more important than anything, any example of charity. The sacrifice of Calvary. To work for souls by evangelization. Duty to life's duties. And prayer for sinners. And I think that's one of the main tools of evangelization. To pray always in a life of union with God. Whoever has a heart similar to Jesus's and Mary's heart will work for the salvation of souls. to conform our hearts